You ever noticed that the Democrats don't post anything positive about what the Democrats are doing? It's always just Trump hate. It's like, do y'all do anything outside of hating Trump? Because I never see anything positive of, well, look what the Democrats did today. It's always Trump, bad orange man. Y'all don't do anything else but that?
For the most part, I wish him well, man. I hope there's certain things that he overseas that seem to be supported in a bipartisan way, like getting terrible toxic stuff out of our kids' food. I think that's a great thing. And so, if you just do that, that's amazing. I'd hate to be so mired in hatred for the president that any success from his administration is something I'd have an allergic reaction to. To be like, oh, well, if they do it, I don't want it to happen. I'll put Clorox in my children's cereal myself. It's like, come on, be reasonable here. There's certain things that would be a good thing to have. I want them all to be successful.
Ain't that the truth? The TDS is, in my sense, it's ruining kind of the reputation, actually the narrative and framing of the Democrat opposition. As you saw from the intro, Chris Pratt articulated exactly what I believe middle America, people who are more centered than I am, because I believe I'm a center right person. Right, I'm just a step out of center right. That's how I describe my politics. But people who are politically neutral, who are more centrist than me, who can be even a MAGA leftist like a Batia, we all recognize that, hey, Trump is not all bad and he's not all good either. And people understand the trade-offs that they're making. Just as you understand you're not a perfect person, I'm not a perfect person, you're not a perfect person. We understand that whoever we put in office is not going to be a perfect person. But we believe we put him in office because we believe that for the most part, he will be a net positive. That's what we believe, that this person's campaign, this person's agenda will be a net positive on the country. And this deranged Trump hatred, and Democrats been warned about this. Hey, as much as people like, my detractors sometimes, some people, who feel that I'm a little bit too partisan when it comes to criticisms on Democrats, you can't blame me when I made videos consistently criticizing the way that Democrats message to people like me, right? Hey, I've told you on this channel that Trump is actually the centrist candidate between him and Kamala Harris. Democrats didn't believe me. Harrison supporters didn't believe me. I told Harrison supporters at the time, hey, the way you guys go about criticizing people who don't align with Kamala Harris is going to push more people towards Trump. They didn't believe me. Then what happened in the election? Trump won the popular vote. Kamala Harris lost all 7 swing states. Damn, Democrats, y'all don't seem to learn. And this is the problem with the Democratic Party. This is the problem with these deranged Trump haters, is that they don't want to reflect on nothing. They just want to justify their hatred of Trump at any means necessary. If Trump's doing it, I don't want it to happen because Trump's the one doing it. If Trump says 2 + 2 = 4, you're going to say, wrong answer, Trump, because you're a fascist. And this is where the Democratic platform has become. And in this video, we're going to get a little bit more academic, a little more sophisticated with this commentary. Not from me, but from the video I'm about to react to. But I just want to show you some things that I think is wrong with the Democratic Party. And let me know in the comment section if you spot where I'm going with this segment here. Let's take a look.
It's about the United States of America. He doesn't believe in that. He believes in the red states. He's going after, it's a war. He's a wartime president. He's the head of a war party. War on women, war on voting rights, war on Hispanics, a war on this state, war on institutions, war on history. I mean, this is serious. This guy's trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize. That's what he's going to try to say tomorrow in Alaska, that he's the big guy trying to find peace, really? When he's bringing war to the American people? He put military in the streets, not of Baghdad. He didn't send the military in his first administration anywhere in the world. He sent the United States Marines into the United States of America in one of the bluest cities in this country, in Los Angeles, one of the great cities, American cities. That's what Donald Trump did. He is a wartime president.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them. The Republicans, they show up. And when they do, they take their beating like a man.
So they talk down sanctimoniously, and that was never clearer when Barack Obama confronted those black Democratic activist young men and said, basically, you don't know what you're doing. You think Donald Trump's good or something, you've got to get out there and support Harris. You're suffering basically from Marxist false consciousness. And I, and as an elite, know what's good for you. And I will tell you, now go do it. That's what he basically said to them. For me, the locus classicus, the epitome of this is Pete Buttigieg. Everything about him represents what I just said. Sanctimonious, self-righteous, talk down. I know the answers. I know what's good for you. I am the transportation secretary. I don't think California is suffering from not enough freeways or it's too crowded. It's suffering from racist legacies of clover leaves. And I'm going to make non-racist clover. Nobody wants that. And that's what the Democratic Party, it's a Karen scold.
So if you want to get my opinion about what those two clips showed you in the segment you just finished watching, is that Democrats are cowards. They're not willing to stand scrutiny. They don't like scrutiny, right? I talked about this in my previous videos, that Democrats seem to be in love with how they look, but not what they actually do. Right. And Bill Maher pointed this out. Oh, look, I voted for these people and these people don't want to come to my own show because they know, oh, Bill Maher might give me some criticism from a more, centrist position for the left. Right. And if you see his interview with Brian Taylor Cohen, is one of these political commentators on the left that I believe is very disingenuous. But if I'm being, honest about him, they care too much about optics, how things look, right? But not the context. Where was the context in which Donald Trump sent military in the boots on the ground on LA? LA was obstructing ICE, right? Rioting was going on. Trump felt like that Newsom wasn't adequate and wasn't adequately handling the situation that was going on in his state, and he believed that he had to step in, right? And there's some verdict, there's some justifications for that. But Gavin Newsom doesn't give it to you. Instead, what does he sell you? Fear. And this is the funny part about the left. They love to project, oh, Donald Trump, he runs on fear. But who's running on fear? Look, go back to the segment that I showed you. Newsom talked about how Donald Trump's a wartime president. He's waging war on blue states. Why, though? He doesn't tell you why. He doesn't tell you that it's a difference of worldview, differences on how things should be managed in this country, and he believed that Newsom is not adequate enough. No, he's not going to tell you that. He's going to make Trump look reasonable. No, he wants to sell you fear porn. And I agree with this summary from Patrick Bet-David here. Fear porn no longer works. I agree. It may work in California, but not nationally. This is why, look, look. As much as people like to criticize me, my criticisms of the Democratic Party is because I believe that America is better when Democrats live in reality and not in their imagination. That's just me. Let me know in the comment section if you can understand where I'm coming from. I'm not coming solely from an American, from a conservative perspective. I'm coming from an American perspective. Is it good for America for the Democratic Party to be in its current state today? I'll wait. I'll wait. Leftist, Democratic voter who's irate right now over my commentary of a black man, they're criticizing thy Democratic Party, right? Is it in Americans' best interest to have the Democratic Party in its current state? Say with me, no. So don't get mad when they're getting criticism. When only 28% of your countrymen, your fellow citizens, see your party in a good light, you know you're doing something wrong, and it's time to change your ways. And here's an opportunity for someone who's more center-right to hear his commentary and saying why he wouldn't even consider your party. You want to call me names. You want to call me a partisan. A partisan would just tell you, yeah. Run Gavin Newsom. Oh, we're scared that Gavin Newsom's going to run. Yeah. Jasmine Crockett is the face of your party. Yeah. Go run her, yes. Oh, no, we want Kamala Harris to run in 2028. Gavin Newsom don't got a shot in hell. No. Get this white boy off there. No. Put her back. Run it back, guys. Run it back. A partisan will tell you that. That's how I see it. Now the Republicans are gonna get on me. Kenny, man, you ruining it for us, man. Just shut up. Just shut up. Just criticize the Democratic Party and that's it. Don't give them any fruitful advice. Don't give them any actionable advice. Don't tell their voters what they could demand from their party. Don't do that, Kenny. But I'm not a partisan. I just care what's best for this country. That's where it comes from. Now, I admit my bias. Like, yeah, I tend to agree with conservatives. I tend to be a conservative. I live conservative. I just believe that I have the better approach based on ideological grounds. But from a practical standpoint, I believe in what's best for America. And sometimes Democrats got some issues. Sometimes Republicans got some issues. But right now, in this day and age, it's conservative all day and night, all day and tomorrow. But I digress. Trump broke your party, Gavin Newsom. You even tried to move to the center, but your party has a leash on you. Unfortunately, they seem to own you. Good luck. Good effing luck indeed. But without further ado, I want to get into some of the reasons why I think Trump's true legacy is actually, this is depending on how Democrats respond or come back from this, Donald Trump's legacy could be either the destruction of the Democratic Party or the starting point in which the Democratic Party comes back to common sense.
Donald Trump's greatest legacy, he broke the Democratic Party. And he exposed it for what it was. It was a bi-coastal elite party with a bunch of billionaires who spend lavishly and a bunch of subsidized poor and a professional class that feels frustrated. They make $200,000 and $300,000 a year, but they live in these blue cities that are very expensive and they can't buy their beautiful home. That's what the Mondami constituency is. Frustrated young white professionals.
And that's exactly the case, right? And I'll give you an example of this, right? I'm not going to say anything based on my personal life, but I know individuals that make 3 times as much money as me. But they live in these, like, San Francisco, they live in Seattle, they live in New York, and they I'm not going to say they barely live, but they live almost a lesser quality of life than I do. And they make 3 times as much money as me because they live in New York. New York will take about what? Maybe 55, something in some cases, depending on what location and district they're in, because there's district tax. Yes, you heard me correctly. There's a district tax in New York. And they'll pay for all this stuff, which limits the amount of money they actually technically make. If you make $120K in New York, is the equivalent of making $60K in a red state somewhere. And these people are the ones that vote for Mondami. And because they're frustrated with the outcomes of the very policies that they would co-sign and agree with because of the optics, because it looks good, but they're suffering the results of those policies. New York's been run by Democrats for decades. And what does a young white professional in New York says? Let's go more left wing. Make it make sense. Like that. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you may have a theory in reality, but if reality is showing you that your theory is wrong, you must accept your theory is wrong. That's the final point that Democrats don't seem to accept. Leftists don't want to accept that their theory is wrong on the case for how to get the certain outcomes that they want. We want affordable housing. Let's push rent controls. You tried that already, and rent is still high. What that tells you, rent control isn't the path forward. Process of elimination. And this is why I said that in my purview, right, from my politics. Kenny, what perspective are you bringing to politics? I believe politics should be a solution-based game. We should reward people who actually fix things, not people who run on things. And I think that's the incentive we need to change in our politics. And I believe my voice, what I offer to the table, is to change the perspective, this whole paradigm that we have around politics. Let's stop running on issues and start running on track records. Start running on results. Start running on, hey, this is what actually got done under my administration, right? You want to hire a guy that all he knew how to do was manage problems, or do you want to hire a guy that actually knows how to solve problems? Solve problem it is. And this is the paradigm shift I saw in Donald Trump. And as a political person, right, I'm not married to Donald Trump. I'm not a Trump cultist. You can't call me a MAGA cultist. But I do believe, hey, the policies he's pushing, the things that Trump kind of represents, that's what I want to see more of. And I vote for that to push that as an incentive to the political class. Hey, this is what I want. Hey, you want my vote? Give me somebody that's actually going to run on something and then produce a good result. 0%, zero illegals has crossed over the border since Trump came into office for 3 months in a row, I think, right? First time in history that the USA might experience a decrease in population. That's what we wanted. 57% of Americans wanted that. They wanted mass deportation. They was in favor of mass deportation. Yet the left want to keep pushing a narrative that somehow people are regretting voting for Trump. Where? Where? My wife is politically neutral, and I still have not heard her complain about Trump yet. But the left, the all-knowing left, and this is how the left gets mocked. Y'all don't know nothing. You base things on your imagination and you pretend it's reality. That is the folly of the left. But I digress. Let's get back into the video.
And then they've lost the working class. It's not just they have lost the muscular classes, Hispanic muscular classes, black males, white. As I said before, if you look at 2016, 20, and 24, Donald Trump's white vote, it's pretty constant. And he did not win the popular vote in 2016 or 2020. And his voting, and yet he did win the popular vote and the Electoral College in 2024 with the same percentage and actual numbers of white voters. So what happened? He picked up some women, he picked up some young people, and he got 55% of Hispanic males, and he got about 25% of black males, and he picked up another 10 to 15% of Asian.
And this is not me bragging, but I want to specify this in for my new viewers or old viewers or people who've been with me since I was like 500 subscribers, whatever. I've been talking about this a lot, that I don't need half of the black community to be conservative. I just need a good 20 to I just needed 20%. Trump won 25% of the black male vote. That's all I need. I need more than that, right? Because, we still need to work on the black women. But my argument has always been, if collectively we just get a 20% of the population to be black conservatives, I'm fine with that. That's all I need. That's all I want, actually. I don't want parity. I don't want 40, 30, 50. I don't care. I just need 20% of my racial group to be conservative. Male and female. The female we need to work on. I think they're at 8% right now. We still got a lot of work on black females. But black males, hey, I'm good. I'm Gucci. I don't need no more black. If you want to, if you want to, you join. If you don't want to, that's your business. I don't care. Because that's where change happened. When you get 20% of a population, that's a trend for change. And the Democrats don't recognize this yet. I hope they don't. And the way Gavin Newsom going, because right now Gavin Newsom is looking like the front runner for 2028. It looks like y'all still don't get it. Y'all still don't get it. And I think Democrats might need to suffer another L, for them to get with the program of where America wants to go. I digress. Let's continue.
Male. And how could that be if he was supposed to be a racist according to the Democrats? It happened because they don't like, it's not that they're just people. They don't want to be talked to. Nobody wants to be talked to. And basically, this is a caricature, but the Democratic attitude toward a black truck driver or a Mexican-American electrician was something like this. Now, you don't know what's good for you, but those 10,000 people crossing the border every day, and the 2 to 3 million people that cross every year illegally in the Rio Grande Valley, they're going to be good for you. I don't care what you say about your schools being swamps, crime going up. They're good for you. Remember that. Now, men have a right to transition, and they are now women, and they're going to compete in your daughter's sports, and you don't know what's good for you because you're too ignorant. But I will represent you. I'm a black woman with a PhD. I'm a Hispanic woman that's your congresswoman. I am your white liberal Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi, and I will tell you what is good for you. Got it? And then they'll say, you know what? You don't understand that gas at $5.50 a gallon is really good for you because the planet is heating up, and the new Green Deal is going to save you. Get some.
Yeah, exactly. Democrats talk down to people. Hey, you don't know what's good for you. And this is something I talked about this culturally too. As a black conservative growing up, I'm in a demographic that is majority politically dominated by Democrats. When you come out as a conservative, I joke around, hey, coming out conservative is harder than coming out gay in the black community. People were questioning, oh, you don't know what's best for you. Oh, you're voting against your best interest. People making assumptions about you just because of this. Just because of this. People are making assumptions on what's in your best interest. Okay, how is voting Democrat in my best interest? Can't defend it because you don't even know what my best interest is. You don't know me personally. All you saw was my skin suit and you assumed you knew everything about me. Yet Democrats don't like being called racist by black conservatives. Make it make sense. This is the racism that black liberals tolerate from their constituents because it serves them politically. And that's all I make mention on this channel, that everything is going off of political self-interest. And this idea that somehow you're pro-black or you're more black than me because you happen to vote for a D, someone with a D next to their name, and I voted for someone with an R next to their name, somehow that makes you more black than me, is a stupid and dumb argument. It's actually a dumb concept in of itself. So you believe that because of my skin color, we all have to do the same actions, have the same mentality, have the same beliefs, have the same culture. You believe in no diversity of actions, decisions. We're just all supposed to think and act alike. If I talk proper English, I'm going against my blackness. Make that make sense. But you got different black people across the world that speak different languages, but somehow you want to tell me because I articulate my English differently from yours, I'm less black than you. Black Democrats push for conformity. They don't like individuality, right? They pretend that they're accepting, but in reality, they're not accepting. They want conformity. They want you to conform to a vision of a belief of what they think you should be. And that's the problem with the Democratic Party. They want to change people instead of changing themselves because they're too lazy to actually do the hard work it will take to reflect and adjust their messaging, their tactics, how they operate, how they conduct themselves. Too much work for them. So it's easier to wag the finger at America, call it racist and sexist because we didn't want to elect a biracial woman who ran with the president that got us the highest inflation rate in 40 years. Democrats mad at us, but they're not mad at themselves for picking a candidate that couldn't articulate herself well, rose $1.2 billion and still lost the election. Instead of criticizing her, oh no, she ran a perfect campaign. Really? If she ran a perfect campaign, wouldn't she be in office right now? But no criticism for that Democratic nominee person, Kamala Harris. No criticism for her. It's America's fault. And that right there should seal Democrats' fate for the next 10 years because you don't talk down to people like that. Oh, you're a sexist racist because you didn't want to vote for my candidate. Make that make sense. Imagine someone said that about Trump. Trump lost 2020 because America was sexist and racist. They didn't want to hire a male stale. He's too pale, too male, too stale. Y'all racist, sexist people because he's a man, a white man. Y'all didn't want to vote for Donald Trump. How silly would people look? How silly would I look if I made that argument? Really silly. But Democrats do it every day and twice on Sunday because we didn't want to hire Kamala biracial Harris to be the first woman president, or first woman of color president in United States history because she suck. You're a racist sexist. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. And Democrats, instead of acknowledging that, instead of trying to show themselves as the better alternative, they double and triple down to the lazy, incoherent, deceptive, gaslighting messaging that they did years prior. Insanity, Democrats, and I'll leave it off here. Democrats, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So what result are you expecting, Democrats? You have not changed anything. The fact that you have to spend $20 million to understand the male constituency in America is one example of you guys not willing to do the hard work. But I digress. The choice is yours, Democrat. How you choose to respond to Trump's presidency will either help you for the better or destroy you completely. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts and your perspective in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your opinions. I want to hear your reactions to my commentary and what you guys think. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.